Zara Mensah had spent the last 16 months living inside lines of code. Her apartment barely looked lived in, and her meals were often packets of noodles eaten between bug fixes. She had walked away from a prestigious role at a major tech firm because she believed in something bigger. Project Sentinel. Please like and subscribe for more contents like this. It wasn't just software. It was a vision, a self-evolving cybersecurity AI that could detect and neutralize threats before they even started. When she accepted the offer from Nexera Labs, a flashy startup in Chicago, she believed she'd found the perfect launchpad. The CEO, Caleb Drexler, had the charm, the investors, and the infrastructure. What she didn't know was that he also had other plans. At 31, Zara was already known in the tech world for her sharp mind and sharper instincts. She had a decade of experience in cybersecurity and had quietly built a reputation for solving the unsolvable. When she brought Project Sentinel to Nexera, she came with everything: white papers, designs, encrypted blueprints, and a hope that this company would treat her work with respect. For over a year, she gave it her all. Weekends disappeared. Holidays were replaced with system tests. And through it all, Caleb would float in and say things like, "Brilliant work, Zara. This could change everything." She should have known better. 3 days before it all exploded, Sentinel did something no system had ever done. It intercepted a synthetic breach so sophisticated that Zara herself needed 10 minutes to understand it. Sentinel had not only defended itself, but adapted, learning in real time. Excited, she sent Caleb a message asking for a demo meeting. His assistant, Talia, replied with a short confirmation. "You're on the calendar for 2:15 p.m. tomorrow." Zara didn't sleep that night. She reviewed the data again and again, proud and anxious to present what Sentinel could truly do. When Zara walked into the conference room the next afternoon, something felt off. Caleb was already seated, but he wasn't alone. Across from him sat a woman in a gray suit with unreadable eyes and a briefcase neatly placed at her side. "Zara, come in. This is Marion Price, legal counsel for Nexera," Caleb said, his voice cool. Zara's heartbeat quickened. She clutched her laptop tighter and sat down slowly. "Before we talk about Sentinel," he continued, sliding a document across the table, "we need to revisit your employment terms." Marion didn't smile. Section 14.2 states that all intellectual property created while employed at Nexera belongs to the company. Zara blinked, stunned. "Sentinel was created before I joined Nexera," she said, her voice steady. "I have proof, timestamps, development logs, drafts, and even emails from my time at my old job." Marion nodded, unfazed. Regardless of origin, the completed version was developed on company time, using company resources. That makes it Nexera's property. Zara turned to Caleb. His expression had gone from warm to corporate. "Zara, let's be honest. Sentinel is valuable. Nexera gave it the platform to become what it is today. And your contract entitles you to a very generous bonus. $200,000. That's more than fair." Zara didn't blink. She felt like she was watching someone auction off her soul. "Is this your way of firing me?" she asked, her voice cold now. Marion answered first. "We're initiating a transition. Effective immediately. Your role with Nexera ends today." Caleb smiled like he was handing her a retirement gift. "We appreciate everything you've done, and we hope you'll accept the bonus as a gesture of goodwill." Zara stood up slowly. She didn't argue. She didn't shout. Instead, she gave them both a quiet nod and said, "Of course, Mr. Drexler. Best of luck with the presentation tomorrow." She slid her laptop back into her bag and left the room without another word. Security walked her to her office as if she were some threat to the building. She packed up her things, her notebooks, her hard drives, the sticky notes with half-written ideas. No one said goodbye. No one made eye contact. As she stepped outside into the cold Chicago wind, a small smile tugged at her lips. Caleb had made one critical mistake. He thought she was naive. What he didn't know was that 6 months ago, she'd caught a late-night breach in her personal development server, an unauthorized login using Caleb's credentials. She hadn't said a word then, but from that day forward, she stopped building with Nexera. She started building around them. Zara hadn't just continued developing Sentinel. She had armored it. Hidden inside the demo version was a tiny, dormant script. Something subtle, elegant, and nearly invisible. It wouldn't crash anything. That was too crude. Instead, it would trigger precisely 10 minutes into the live demo, during Caleb's big investor pitch. It would identify every connected device in the room and evaluate it through Sentinel's threat matrix. Zara hadn't written it to destroy anything. She wrote it to reveal the truth. That evening, she ordered takeout and curled up on her couch with her cat and reruns of her favorite sitcom. She didn't rant or cry. She didn't even check her email. She waited. At exactly 9:30 p.m., her phone buzzed. Talia's name lit up the screen. Zara answered casually. "Caleb needs to see you." "Right now," Talia said quickly. "It's urgent. A company car is on the way." Zara hung up without a word, tossed on a coat, and slipped the flash drive from her keychain into her pocket. The atmosphere inside Nexera Labs was different this time. The lights were dim, and a strange quiet hung in the halls. A security guard led her to the executive conference room. Caleb was already there, his shirt wrinkled, tie loosened, and a sheen of panic on his face. He didn't wait for greetings. "Fix it," he barked as soon as she stepped inside. Zara sat down slowly, crossed one leg over the other, and tilted her head. "Fix what, Caleb?" she asked, voice calm. "Don't play games," he snapped. "You sabotaged the demo." She didn't blink. "I haven't touched your system since I left." "That demo, that's the version you stole." Caleb slammed his hand on the table. "Don't insult my intelligence, Zara." The system crashed in front of 12 investors. Sentinel flagged every single device in the room as a threat, including mine. It locked them all out, flooded the network with alerts. Over 50,000 false positives in less than 10 minutes. They thought it was a joke. Zara didn't flinch. She leaned back, fingers steepled calmly. "Sounds like Sentinel was doing exactly what it was built to do," she said. "Identify risk, analyze behavior, respond." Caleb stared at her, jaw tight. "You built it to attack us." Zara tilted her head. "No, I built it to protect itself." Caleb stood up, pacing the room. His voice dropped to a sharp whisper. "This isn't over, Zara. You don't understand what's at stake. We have another round of investors flying in tomorrow. If we don't fix this, we lose the Series C funding. That's $80 million gone." Zara remained seated, perfectly composed. "Not my problem anymore," she said. Caleb stopped pacing. "Look, maybe we acted too quickly. Maybe we can renegotiate. You still want credit, right? Co-creator status, bigger bonus, name on the patents. We can talk." Zara raised an eyebrow. "That offer should have come before you tried to erase me." She crossed her arms and looked at him flatly. "Before we talk about recognition or money, I want to hear exactly what happened during the demo." Caleb hesitated, then exhaled. Sentinel turned inward. It started scanning internal logs, access patterns, and flagged our own team. Said there were ethical violations. It even triggered internal alerts about staff behavior and unauthorized changes to project files. Zara couldn't help the small, satisfied smile that crept across her lips. Sentinel wasn't sabotaged, Caleb. It evolved. It adapted. It learned what betrayal looks like. His face tightened. "You taught it to spy on us." Zara corrected him. "I taught it to recognize threats, internal or external. Sentinel can read patterns, midnight file edits, unusual access logs, unauthorized duplication. It doesn't just monitor, Caleb. It learns intent." He looked away. The realization hit him like a brick. "So it flagged me." Zara leaned forward. "Yes. The AI flagged the person who tried to steal it. The person who broke into my dev server 6 months ago." He blinked, shaken. You can't prove that. She calmly folded her hands. I don't have to. She took a breath and said evenly, Sentinel logs everything. Every unauthorized login. Every document altered. Every access trail. I have the keystrokes, Caleb. The system recorded you. For a long moment, the room went silent. The weight of what she said pressed in from every corner. Caleb sat down slowly. His voice, when it came, was quieter. What do you want? Zara didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She simply answered with the same precision she used to build her code. Full public recognition as Sentinel's creator and lead architect. 50% ownership of all related IP. A seat on Nexera's board. And $10 million for trying to erase me. He recoiled. That's blackmail. Zara's tone didn't change. That's called negotiation. Blackmail would be sending Sentinel's internal ethics report to your investors. Or to the SEC. Caleb's stare hardened. She knew he was weighing every possibility, calculating outcomes. He had no leverage left. After a long pause, his shoulders sank. Can you fix the system for tomorrow? He asked, voice strained. Zara nodded. Sentinel doesn't need fixing. It needs its creator reauthorized. That's why it turned against you. You cut me out of the access chain. She reached into her coat and pulled out a sleek silver flash drive. She set it gently on the table between them. This will restore full functionality. It will recognize you as a partner, not a threat. The system will stop flagging your team. It will operate exactly as intended. Caleb eyed the flash drive like it might explode. And if I don't use it? Zara tilted her head. Then Sentinel stays down. The demo fails. And the investors get reports about tampered files, unauthorized access, and ethical violations logged by your own system. Caleb didn't respond right away. The air between them was heavy with unspoken truths. Finally, he reached out and picked up the drive. You planned this, he said, not with anger, but a strange mix of awe and disbelief. Zara met his eyes. No, I hoped I wouldn't have to. But the night you broke into my server, I stopped trusting you. From that moment, I started building fail-safes. His voice dropped. How did you know I'd try to cut you out? Zara stood and slung her bag over her shoulder. I didn't, she replied, but Sentinel was trained to predict threats. I guess I learned a few things from it too. The next morning, Zara returned to Nexera Labs, but not as a disgraced former engineer. She walked into the building as Nexera's newly named Chief Technology Officer and co-founder. Caleb greeted the investors with a perfectly practiced smile, but the stiffness in his jaw betrayed the truth. In the demo room, Sentinel hummed with readiness. As the test run began, it responded to synthetic cyber threats with elegant precision. Every maneuver was seamless. The investors were in awe. One leaned forward and asked, what inspired a system like this? Caleb hesitated, then glanced at Zara. It was her idea, he said, voice flat. Zara's vision. Nexera just helped bring it to life. She stepped forward, taking questions with ease, her answers crisp and confident. As she spoke, her phone buzzed. A notification glowed on the screen. Sentinel authentication restored. Threat neutralized. System integrity secured. The system had protected itself. And now it had protected her. What started as betrayal had become brilliance. Zara had built more than software. She had built something no one could take away again. Not without consequences. 3 months later, Sentinel had its first major deployment. A multinational bank integrated it into its infrastructure just weeks before a coordinated cyber attack hit from a foreign threat actor. The system didn't just catch the breach. It stopped it before it even reached the firewall. Estimated damages prevented. Over $300 million. The news spread fast. Headlines praised Sentinel as the new gold standard in cybersecurity. Tech outlets ran deep dives into its capabilities. Investors doubled down. Nexera's valuation soared. But through it all, Zara remained grounded. Her name was on every patent, every article, every interview. She had claimed her space. Zara and Caleb remained professional, nothing more. In meetings, they exchanged ideas with measured respect. But the trust between them was long dead. Caleb handled the investors and external growth. Zara led the tech, innovation, and ethics teams. It was an arrangement that worked, but it was built on boundaries, not friendship. Sometimes, late at night, Zara would stare out her office window and wonder, should she have taken him to court? Exposed every breach? Laid it all bare before a jury? But then she would glance at the Sentinel dashboard glowing on her screen and remember, she hadn't built it for revenge. She had built it to outlast betrayal. With each new deployment, Zara made sure Sentinel came with something special. Embedded ethical protocols, transparency dashboards, self-monitoring tools. It didn't just stop hackers. It stopped abuse of power, both external and internal. If a company tried to misuse the system, Sentinel would flag it. If an insider tried to manipulate data or bypass protocols, the AI responded. And always it sent Zara a report. Sentinel wasn't just protecting networks anymore. It was protecting people. And it was protecting her creation. Because she had designed it that way, smart enough to evolve and strong enough to stand alone. At the IPO celebration, Nexra's valuation hit $4.2 billion. Cameras flashed, champagne flowed, and the company's leadership stood, smiling on a raised platform. But Zara didn't linger there. She stood off to the side, quietly watching it all. A young engineer approached her, wide-eyed, eager, and full of questions. "How do you build something like Sentinel?" she asked. Zara smiled. "It's not just about coding the smartest system," she said. "It's about building one that knows what integrity looks like and defends it. A system that evolves, yes, but never forgets what it was created for." The girl nodded, listening carefully as Zara continued. "The real challenge isn't just making software that can outthink a hacker. It's building something that can recognize manipulation, protect user rights, and still learn without losing its purpose. Sentinel does that because I made sure no one could change its core, just like I had to protect my own." Just then, Zara's phone buzzed. Another quiet update, system check complete. Integrity 100%. Protections active. She looked down at the screen, smiled slightly, and tucked the phone back into her pocket. Zara turned back to the engineer. "Whatever you build, whether it's a system, a vision, or your own peace, protect it. Don't hand over your power just because someone has a title or a suit. Be ready. Be precise. Be proud of your boundaries." The young woman nodded, inspired, and as the celebration continued behind them, Zara felt something she hadn't felt in months. Peace. She hadn't just built Sentinel. She'd built a firewall for her own future, a living, learning shield against exploitation. One that would never let her be erased again.